Hello everybody, welcome back to another Weather Central forecast. Hope you guys are having a fantastic day. Now in today's video we will be going over a highly requested spring forecast. This will not be 100% accurate. This is all speculations going off of long range models, which obviously long range models, once you get out that far, a month out of advance, stuff becomes very less accurate than if it was 10 to 16 days out. So stuff is very likely to change in the near future. This is just my forecast for right now. I probably will have an updated forecast though in the future, so definitely stay tuned for part 2 to this forecast. So here is the Farmer's Almanac version of the forecast. In the Northwest, they have wet and mild. Looks like you guys will be getting out of that snowy side of it into early spring. In the Southeast, they have chilly and showery. I do agree that some parts of the Southeast will be showery. Cold. I think that they'll be somewhat cooler, but I do think that you guys will have an equal chance down in the Southeast, as well as you guys will have some. You guys will have some above average precipitation, in my opinion. I do think that the parts of the Northeast into the Ohio Valley will be somewhat cool throughout spring. Farmer's Almanac has stormy, slow to warm. I do agree with this. I do think that it will take just a little bit to warm up for parts of the Ohio Valley, getting up into Wisconsin as well. Into most of the U.S., the Midwest, into the Great Plains, thundery, stormy, and cool. I do think that they have an equal chance for temperature, so I don't know if I quite agree with that. But I do think that they do have a couple of chances for some storms into the spring. I just don't think that's where the bulk of it's going to be. Down into the extreme south, they have wet and slow to warm up. Now, I do agree with this. I do think that it will be very wet. There will be a lot of precipitation. But I do think that you guys will warm up fairly quickly because obviously you guys had that cold blast. So almost anything that you guys are going to get in the near future is going to be a warm-up. I think you guys could get up to the 60s and 70s, possibly even low 80s into spring for sure. That's not out of the question. And off to the southwest, we have wet and mild. I do think that they'll be dry. I don't think that they'll be seeing much precipitation. Mild, I think they'll be somewhat warm as well. I think they'll be dry and warm into the southwest, so I don't know if I quite agree with the Farmer's Almanac on that part of it. Up to the Pacific Northwest, they have dry and balmy. I do think that this region should be down here, and this region down here should be up there. I don't know why, but I just think that the precipitation is going to still stay up to the Pacific Northwest. There was a couple of chances indicated by the long-range models that there could be some storms up off to the west, but most of it was staying up to the Pacific Northwest, kind of dipping down like this, or they were or the Gulf moisture rising up and going into the mid-Atlantic. At least that's what the long-range models were hinting towards. Obviously, some of these models, the next model run, everything could change and, everything could be gone. But as of right now, as I made this forecast, which is today, February 18th, I believe is what today is, it was the ways that my forecast is going to show. Obviously, like I said, I'll have a part 2 to this if anything does change too significant. But without further ado, let's go ahead and go over to the Weather Central Spring Temperature Outlook. Now, I do think that parts of the West will stay slightly above average. I do think that especially the Southwest into the Four Corners will see slightly to moderately above average temperatures, as well as I do think that down into southeastern Arizona into southwestern New Mexico, they'll see some moderately above average temperatures. Like I said, this was just indicated off of the long range temperature outlook. So stuff is, almost guaranteed to change before spring actually does hit, which I think spring, I think it starts March 20th, if I'm not mistaken, like the meteorological spring starts March 20th. So I'll still have a lot of updates before then. Obviously, but I did want to give this forecast out because a lot of people were asking for it. Like I said, I think the Pacific Northwest will be slightly above average. As you get down to maybe Los Angeles, slightly to moderately above average, and then as you get down to these to southeast Arizona and southwest New Mexico, do you think that you guys will see moderately above average temperatures? In this white, I have equal chances. This is just because no model was too significant with one or the other on temperatures. Some of them, some models had, average temperatures, and some had cold and some had warm. So I just thought, to be safe, I'd put that under equal chances, because it's not really too lopsided on which side it's looking at right now. In this blue, I have slightly below average. Now, there was a couple blasts from southern Canada that made its way through, but those were like 500 hours out, so it wasn't going to be an Arctic blast. It was just going to be some cooler weather making its way down. So that's just why I have you guys in slightly below average. I'm not sure if it's going to happen, but that's just what the models were indicating. And then off to the north of the Ohio Valley, into parts of Michigan, into parts of upstate New York. That's where I'm having slightly to moderately below average temperatures, because most of the models were indicating some very cold conditions there at times, but obviously there were some times where it was, average to maybe a little bit above average, but the biggest trend there is slightly to moderately below average for that area. So without further ado, let's go ahead and head over to the precipitation outlook. So here's the Weather Central precipitation outlook for spring. I do have a good region of above average precip that is for parts of the South Central, into the Ozarks, into the Tennessee Valley, into parts of the Southern Northeast, into the Mid-Atlantic, into the Southeast, into the extreme South as well, where we have a couple of, highly populated areas under these moderately above average precip. So that could indicate some, severe weather in the near future for these areas, especially into spring. This is where I do think that most of the severe weather will occur into the early of spring. Like I said, long-range models are indicating it. We have slightly above average precip extending all the way down from southern Texas up to central New Jersey into southeastern Pennsylvania. I do think that you guys will see some above average precip. You could even see some snow mix into more of the southern Northeast, especially if you guys do get that cold blast like it was indicating. But it wouldn't be a big snowstorm at all, and like I said, this is almost guaranteed to change before then. In this darker green, I have slightly to moderately above average precip. This is where almost all the models were indicating some heavy or some precip through these areas almost, every other day in these regions. So that's why I have you guys under slightly to moderately above average precip. Off to the southwest, I do have slightly below average precip into parts extending from California down to southern or southwestern New Mexico, and then into extreme southeastern or southwestern California. I have slightly to moderately below average precip. That's just because no models were really indicating any precip for your area down there. So that's why I have you guys under that. And then, obviously, equal chances. There was no guaranteed winner throughout the long-range models for these areas over here. So that's why I do have you guys in equal chances. So that is about it for this Weather Central forecast, guys. I hope you guys did enjoy this. If you guys did, please like, subscribe, and obviously, if you guys have any questions about your area, leave them down in the comments, and I'll try to answer them as quick as I can. I can't guarantee that I'll answer every single comment, but I will try to. So that is about it for this forecast, guys. Like I said, hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys in the next forecast.